welcome back to UE5 BP Guru. Today we're going to be setting up our battle world. So in the last episode we did pretty much everything we need to do for the encounter BP, and now we're just going to set up the battle world so we can load that in and get some fights going. So what we need to do, so I'm going through this in multiplayer, of course, so everything we're doing is going to hopefully work for multiplayer. But in the previous series, we did everything for single player. So what we need to do now, I think the way we're going to do it for multiplayer will work far better for single player as well. So bear that in mind as we go through this. The reason I say that is because with this method, we don't have to save any information for teams and things like that, which I think a lot of people kind of got confused with in the last series. And in this series, we don't even have to do that, which is great. So how are we going to do this? Well, we need to create a new level. If we go into our third person character, I'm going to save everything in our maps. Now we're working from the third person map at the moment. Now that is going to be basically everything that your world will be. So however big you make it, whatever, your third person map is basically what that's going to be. This is going to be a separate map that we will load into the level when the game begins. So for example, you could have 100 of these. So you could have like grass battle level, you could have cave level battle level, you could have sea battle level, forest battle level, volcano battle level. You know, the list is endless, right? You could have as many battle levels as you want. You just need to be able to swap them in and out depending on the situation you want. So we're going to create a few of these eventually, but for today we're just going to get the one set up and working for the game. The first thing we want to do is we're going to, in the third person blueprints, we're going to create a new file and we'll call this battle proxy. Save all, like so. Open this up and we're going to create two blueprint actors. We're going to create one called enemy spawn BP, and I'm going to create another one called player spawn. Spawn BP. And those will act where our creatures are going to spawn in the world. And save all. I'm going to save as often as I can because I've already had a crash while doing this. So I don't really fancy getting any more crashes we can have. Can help it. So the next thing we need to do is we're going to create two more BPs. These are going to be character BPs. And we're going to call one NPC battle actor, like so. And the other one is going to be, if we get that one, we'll call this player battle actor. The other way of naming this, if you're doing multiplayer, could be like host. So your player will always be your host, and the NPC will always be the joiner. And the reason I call them host and joiner, you'll hear this a lot as we go on, is because your host is the one in multiplayer that is hosting the battle. He's the one that's initiating it. He's asking you to battle. He's the host. The joiner will always be the one who's joining that battle, the one who's accepting the battle request, the trainer, if you will, the NPC trainer, wild encounter. They will always be the joiner. They're joining us for a battle. That's how I'm going to do this throughout the series, if you're ever wondering. So if I'm ever talking about host and joiner, that's kind of what I mean by that. So we've got our player battle actor, we've got our NPC battle actor. If we open those up, we can... Oh, I set that one as a... Did I set that up as a actor? I meant to set that up as a character. So player battle actor. That's better. Okay, so those are the four things we're going to need for a moment. Let's do the spawners first. Now these are just going to be... Okay, so this is why it's good to save, because I keep getting crashes. So we're going to open up the player spawn BP. If you go over to the viewport, and all we need to do for this is add in a billboard. This is so we can see where it is in the world. And I typically add in a arrow. And the reason for the arrow is just so I know which direction it's facing. You'll see what I mean in a moment. And we're going to do the same for the enemy spawner. Open up the full blueprint, add in a billboard, and also add in a arrow. And that's all we need for that one. We can put that up there. And the last two things we need to do is just set up the player battle actor and the NPC battle actor. Now, for these two, it won't matter too much what we actually do with these. We just need to set them up as all that matters in this is if we set this up to have some form of character in here, just so we have a representation. And if we just do this to Quinn, there we go. So that's our first one. Do not forget to save. That's our player battle actor, and then we just need to do our NPC battle actor. We go to the viewport, set the mesh up, and we'll do this again as Quinn, because it's all set up to Quinn. And Quinn, oh no, we want Quinn. And then again, I always find that -90 and -90 work for, oh, it's because I'm pressing equals. -90 and -90 work very well for the rotation. Save all again, just in case you get a crash like me. Close all these down. We don't need any of these for now. We just need to open up the new level. So again, sorry, if we head up to the battlegrass level, like so. Now it's going to be pitch black in here. We don't want to add any lights or like skylights or BPs or anything like that to the battle world, because you'll add an extra light into the scene when you're playing the game. So instead, what we do is we'll just add in a plane like that, and we'll set it to something like 20, 20, 20. Should be good. There should be enough room. You can design yours however you want, of course, but for this sake of this, we're just going to have a 20 by 20 for now, just so we can kind of get it working. Then what we want to do is, if we get our blueprints and we go to our battle proxy, we're going to get a enemy spawner, like so. Turn it to face inwards. This actually looks pretty big, to be fair, so this should work relatively well. And we'll face him in, like so. That should be good. You might want to bring them up ever so slightly, because sometimes they go into the ground, depending on where the spawn place is. And then all we need to do is add in our players. And make sure they're obviously facing the correct direction. It should be around about there. And we'll add the NPC one in here. And make sure he's facing the right direction. Sort of save. Always save. And then we need about 4 or 5 cameras is kind of what we need. Where on earth is that gone? Huh. Okay. Hmm. Sorry. So what we need is a few different cameras now. The main one we're going to want is, so if we get on here, camera. Oh, camera. And we're going to get some camera actors. So the first one being, we get this one. and we'll drag him up a little bit. Okay, again, we're not going to be able to see anything, but that doesn't matter too much because we'll be changing this. All we need to do is change the name. So, for example, this one we'll call party. Oh, can we rename it? That'd be nice. Party camera. We're going to copy and paste this one, and we'll move it around and change its direction to face the other way. And we'll put it just about here for now, and we'll call this one rename this one enemy camera. Then we want to create, copy and paste again, bring it up here, put it up so it looks like it's, now it's going to be hard to tell, so just kind of put it here. So you want to be able to see about that, so maybe drag it down a bit, and then we'll rename this one and call it NPC camera. Oh, I called it MP camera. Let's rename that, otherwise I'm going to get confused later on. NPC camera. And then keeping the same height, what we'll do is we'll copy and paste and drag this sort of all the way so it lines up with our player. Spin it around. It might need to kind of go a bit closer, sort of about here. Again, you can sort of play around until you get the right sort of spot for your camera, but we'll rename this one and call it player camera. Again, you could use host and joiner as well if you want to make it a little bit more make a little bit more sense. Copy and paste. Don't do that. Copy and paste. We need 2 more cameras. We want this one. Now, again, I won't really know too well if this works or not. You might want to move it around a bit. I'm not sure. You'll have to test it. But I would say about here is probably good. And we're going to call this, we're going to rename this one and call it player overview. And then what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this, bring it over here. Now this camera is more for the multiplayer side of things, but we're going to do something very similar. And we'll call this one edit, rename this, and we'll rename this one to enemy overview. Okay, and if I look through this, we should, in theory, be able to see kind of most of what's going on. And that's pretty much the setup for the battle world. Done. Save it so you don't lose any progress like I do occasionally. And what we want to do is we now want to create one more thing. And we're going to call this, it's going to be an actor. And this is going to be our battle proxy BP. We're going to need it, basically, to control our cameras when we need to. And to control our cameras, we're going to need to create a few things. We need to create a couple of enumerations. So we're going to call this one E battle choice. We're going to create another one called E camera switch. And the only other things I think we'll need, I think we should be okay for the rest of them. I think that's the only things we'll need. So the first thing we're going to do is save. we're going to open up our E camera switch, and we're going to just go crazy, and we're going to add 5. Party camera, or we'll call this, yeah, no, party camera works. Party camera. We're going to go for enemy camera. We're going to go for the player camera. We'll go for enemy camera. Oh, we'll change that. Yeah, no, that should be fine. We'll call it NPC camera for now. And then we want to call the last one the overview camera. We can save that. And the reason we've gone for overview, even though there's 2 overview cameras, is we're going to pick the camera depending on whether they are the host or not. So that will flip-flop depending on. So this is again multiplayer. If you're not, if it's single player, you'll always be host. But if you're in multiplayer, you're either going to be one or the other. And then we might as well, while we're here, set up the battle choice. Now, this will be controlling the flow of the game, and this will all depend on what the player is choosing. So none will always be the first option. Not that there should ever be none, but it's just more a case of as a choice. So we're either going to be attacking, running, in our inventory, picking something from our inventory. We're either going to be capturing, or we're going to be changing the party, right? Picking a different creature. So those are our only 5 options technically that we can ever choose. And that should be it set up. So the only other thing we have left to do now is go into our level BP, and then we can now just create an event tick. Now, I know event ticks are expensive, but we are only using them whenever we're in a battle. This will only ever run if that one of these exists, and these will only exist when we start a fight, and that's the battle proxy BP that we created. Then we want to do a get. Now, because there's only ever going to be one in existence, we will only ever get that one. Like so. So we do an is valid, and obviously this won't ever be valid. So even though this event tick is kind of running, it's not actually doing anything. So it's not gonna cause you any issues. One thing we are gonna do is, if I bring this up here, is we're gonna open up the battle proxy, and we're gonna add a variable to it. And I'm sure you probably all guessed already, it's going to be our camera switch. So change the variable to camera. It should be E camera switch. There we go. Compile that, and we're going to get that. Get camera switch, and we're going to switch. So switch on E camera switch off the is valid. We can now change each one of these values. So there is a bunch of other things we're going to have to grab from the battle proxy, which we don't have technically access to at the moment. But we should be able to start setting some of this up. But I'm kind of tempted to say we'll do this once we've actually started working on the code for the battle proxy, because this is going to be pretty massive. But the first thing we're going to want to do, let's do the overview camera, I suppose. Cast to third person character. Get player character. So, and one of the very few but very important variables we're going to need on the third person character is a boolean, and it's just a is host check. which will determine whether we are the host of the game or not. And we're going to get is host. We're going to get that is host. We're going to run it through a branch check. And if we are the host, we're going to do one camera switch, or if we aren't, we're going to do another one. So this can be a little bit tricky. So you're going to have to drag this out, go to your camera level, go to your outliner, get the, okay, after my millionth crash this recording, I am going to try again to get this camera. So we need the two overview cameras for this first part. And we want the enemy overview. We also will want the enemy, we want the NPC camera, and we also want the player camera. So might as well grab them while we're here for now. So save, so you don't lose any more information than we already have. And what we're going to be doing is we're now checking to see if we're the host. And if we are the host, we want to get the player overview. So we can set view, set target. Let's try it this way. Set view target. Maybe we need the player controller. Set view target with blend. That's what we're looking for. And then we want to plug that in as the new view target. Now I'm going to place this up here because we're going to be using this for like every single one of them. So if it's true, we're going to check out the host camera. If it's false, we're going to check out the joiner camera or the enemy camera. And we can plug that one in here as well. I might bring it a little bit closer. So that will fix our overview camera. So whenever we set this to overview camera, it will set our view target to one of these two, depending on whether we're the host or not. Then we have our NPC camera and our player camera. So we'll take two more of these, bring them up here. And we want to plug in the player camera to both of those as well. And for the player camera, we can just go directly into this one. And if we set it to the NPC camera, we can plug it straight directly into that one. And what this will do is if we want to, so typically at the start of Pokemon battles, you see the trainers. So it shows the enemy trainer, he sends out his Pokemon. Then it sets it to the main player, he sets out his Pokemon. And this will just show you this side of things. So it will set it to those cameras depending on who we want to look at. And the player controller controls that camera view. The last two things we need to do are the actual Pokemon. Because we don't have the Pokemon references in the battle proxy yet, we can't technically do that yet. So we will be coming back to this at some point. We can still test this out in the next episode, of course, purely just by setting up the battle proxy to do what we want it to do. But now we have the battle proxy in the world, we can actually now go ahead and create what we need to do in the third person character and also in the encounter BP to push us through to this world. What we need to do as well is set up that this world actually gets added into the actual world. But we'll be doing that all in the next episode. This was purely just setting up the battle level. So you should have something that looks like this, unless you've gone and done all the artsy stuff like adding in grass and trees and stuff, which I haven't. You should have something that looks similar to this by the time the end of this episode. And you should have in your level BP the code for switching out cameras. As I say, we've got two more cameras to set up, but we'll be doing that once we're kind of into the actual battle code. In the next episode, we're going to get the level loaded in, and we're also going to get it that we can actually move over into the battle world. We can start the battle, if you will. But hopefully you found this useful. Thank you so much, guys, for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Much love. Take care. Bye.